Today, we're going to talk about the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to overcome anxiety. Now, this is a mistake that I see time and time again, and if you're making it, you're not alone. It's a mistake that almost everyone dealing with anxiety falls into at some point. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Hey friend, welcome back to Fearless Anxiety. I'm Peter Wessels. If you're not on the recovery path already, you need to get there today. For that, I put the 5-step cure to anxiety and panic attacks in the link below. It's going to show you why you have anxiety, what steps you need to be taking to recover, and the recovery process itself. All right, so the biggest mistake in recovery is focusing on the symptoms as a measure of your progress in recovery. Here's what happens. When you're having anxiety, your brain becomes laser focused on every little sensation that you're experiencing. You notice your heart palpitations, the lightheadedness, and the tightness in your chest. You are hyper aware of every little symptom and sensation. And so the natural instinct is to worry, why am I still experiencing intense sensations? Why have the intensity of the sensations not decreased yet? I see this question being asked all the time. And it gets asked both by people at the beginning of their recovery and also those who have been progressing through it. The mistake you are making, though, is believing that the absence or the decrease in the intensity of your sensations is an indicator of where you're at in the recovery process. Now, I understand this because I did the exact same thing. When I was struggling with anxiety, I was constantly checking in with myself. If I woke up in the morning and I didn't have many sensations, I think that was a sign that my anxiety was getting better. But if later in the day I had intense sensations, my brain would suddenly believe that I'm back to square one and that I'd never recover. The truth is, though, that recovery doesn't work like that. You can't measure your progress day to day by whether your symptoms are present or not. And you can't even judge recovery on the intensity of your sensations. There are 2 reasons for this. First, recovery from anxiety isn't linear. It's not a straight line. You can have a day where you feel much better with little to no symptoms, and then out of nowhere, you can get hit with a flood of sensations. That doesn't mean that you're back to square one or that you've not made progress in recovery. Rather, it's just the nature of anxiety recovery. Your nervous system is still sensitized, and it takes time for it to fully desensitize and get back to normal. So during that process, there will be ups and there will be downs. But what you need to remember is that these ups and downs are totally normal. They're an expected part of the recovery process. The second reason is that your actions often have a direct effect on the intensity and frequency of your anxiety sensations. Here's an example. Let's say 2 people are trying to recover from anxiety. One person avoids everything that triggers their anxiety. Maybe they stay at home, they avoid social situations, and they don't even go to the grocery store. Well, that person is likely experiencing less sensations. But does that mean they're recovering faster? No, it doesn't. In fact, the worst thing you can do during recovery is try to avoid and hide from anxiety. That will result in a slower recovery, and there's actually a good chance that your recovery stalls at some point. All right, let's say the other person who's trying to recover from anxiety is facing their anxiety head on. They're pushing the boundaries of what they're comfortable with. They're going to the grocery store, meeting up with friends, and traveling on airplanes. They're facing their anxiety and, in doing so, experiencing more frequent and intense anxiety. They get the racing heart, the dizziness, and the waves of anxiety. But here's the thing. This person is quickly learning how to respond to their symptoms in the right way. They're not fearfully resisting against their anxiety. Instead, they're surrendering to it and simply allowing the sensations to be present. They are implementing the fearless approach that I teach, and in doing so, gradually learning that these sensations aren't actually harmful. Okay, so you are going to be that second person. I don't want you shying away and trying to hide from your anxiety. That won't get you to recovery. Rather, you are going to go out and experience anxiety in the right way. And in doing so, you're going to retrain your brain that anxiety is not a threat. All right, through that example, hopefully you can see why trying to measure your progress by the intensity or the frequency of your symptoms is a mistake. The absence of symptoms doesn't mean you're getting better, because recovery isn't about making the symptoms immediately disappear. Recovery is about changing how you respond to anxiety so that you lose your fear of it and your nervous system desensitizes. In fact, here's something that might surprise you. The days where your anxiety is the highest are actually the days that you're making the most progress. Why is that? Well, because those are the days where you have the most opportunity to respond to anxiety in the right way by using the fearless approach. When anxiety shows up, that's your chance to prove to your brain that it's not a threat. It's your chance to acknowledge that all you're feeling is just your body's defense system. It's your fight or flight response at work. You will soon realize that, yes, these sensations are uncomfortable, but they're not harmful and you're just fine. As soon as you flip that switch in your brain, you're going to be well on your way to a full recovery. All right, I hope that helps. Make sure you download the 5-Step Cure to Anxiety and Panic Attacks so you can learn more about the fearless approach as well as the entire recovery process. Also, do me a favor and share this with someone who needs to see this video. And hit the like button and subscribe button on the way out. I'll see you on the next episode.